When I moved into the quiet Willow Creek subdivision, I thought it would be the perfect place to continue my work in peace. As a botanist and professor at the state university, I had just secured a grant to research climate-resilient crops, plants that could withstand drought, floods, and even poor soil conditions. My backyard greenhouse wasn't a hobby. It was a federally funded research lab partnered with the university's Department of Agricultural Science. The structure itself was modest from the outside, built with translucent polycarbonate panels, a weather station on top, and automated irrigation and ventilation systems. It took up a good portion of my backyard, but remained well within property limits. I had all the necessary city permits and a signed agreement with the university. It wasn't just personal, it was professional, academic, and legal. But none of that mattered to the neighborhood's HOA president, Linda, who quickly earned the title Greenhouse Karen. It started with a note taped to my mailbox. Your structure is an eyesore and non-compliant with HOA architectural standards. Remove it within 14 days or face fines and removal at owner's expense. I was stunned. I'd read the HOA bylaws before I bought the property. There was nothing prohibiting greenhouses and certainly nothing about lab structures for academic purposes. I immediately responded with documentation, the building permit, my university partnership agreement, and even a personal letter from the department dean. I figured it would end there. It didn't. Instead, I received another notice, this one on official HOA letterhead, threatening legal action and referencing unauthorized commercial use. Apparently, Linda believed I was running a for-profit agricultural business in my backyard. Rumors had spread like wildfire that I was growing illegal plants or selling rare flora online. One neighbor even told me they heard I was raising lab-altered mutant vegetables. It would have been funny if it weren't so frustrating. A week later, while I was installing new sensors inside the greenhouse, I caught a glimpse of a city inspection truck pulling up. I walked outside and was met by a confused inspector who said he was responding to a complaint of an illegal structure and unlicensed agricultural activity. I showed him everything: permits, research notes, and the grant information. He nodded, chuckled, and said, "This isn't even close to a code violation. Honestly, it's the most high-tech greenhouse I've seen in a backyard." But the HOA wasn't done. They held a board meeting without inviting me and voted to pursue private demolition if I failed to comply. That crossed a line. I contacted my university's legal department. They didn't just respond, they mobilized. Within days, I had university counsel, a cease and desist letter, and a formal statement from the state's Office of Research Compliance warning the HOA that tampering with a federally funded research facility was a violation of both state and federal law. Then I called a community meeting with reporters from the local news station, curious neighbors, and a few of my students in attendance. I calmly explained the purpose of my greenhouse, the importance of the research, and how it was contributing to state agriculture and food security. I showed them time-lapse videos of drought-resistant tomatoes, strawberries grown in sand, and even climate-tolerant wheat. By the end of my talk, even the most skeptical neighbors were asking if they could volunteer. Linda, arms crossed and face flushed, tried to interject about neighborhood aesthetics, but it was too late. The crowd wasn't on her side anymore. One neighbor even asked, "Why are we fighting science in 2025? The next morning, a new letter appeared in my mailbox, not from the HOA, but from 3 high school students asking if they could intern at the lab for extra credit. As for Linda, she resigned from the HOA board a month later. The official story was personal reasons. Unofficially, let's just say her war on science didn't win many hearts. My greenhouse still stands. Taller than ever, in fact, with a new solar-powered extension. It's not just a lab anymore. It's a symbol that innovation doesn't have to live in an ivory tower. Sometimes it thrives in a quiet cul-de-sac, next to a swing set and a bird feeder.